Imagine driving alone on a quiet highway in the middle of the night. No cities, no streetlights, no other cars, just endless asphalt stretching into darkness. Then suddenly, your radio begins to crackle with static. Your GPS loses signal. And up ahead you see headlights. But something isn't right. The car passes you and then disappears. No turns, no exits, just gone. For decades, drivers across the United States have reported strange encounters on certain isolated highways. Encounters that involve missing time, phantom vehicles, unexplained figures, and roads that seem to loop endlessly. So the question is, are these just tired drivers imagining things, or is something far stranger happening on America's most mysterious highway? Have gained reputations that make even experienced truck drivers uneasy. These roads share something in common. They are remote, quiet, and strangely consistent in the stories people tell about them. Drivers report seeing vehicles that vanish, figures standing on empty roads, radios suddenly switching frequencies, GPS systems losing direction, entire stretches of missing time. And what makes these reports unusual is the pattern. Many drivers don't know each other, don't live in the same state, and often report nearly identical experiences. That raises an uncomfortable possibility. What if these aren't just random stories? What if something about certain highways creates these encounters? Several highways in the US have developed reputations for unexplained activity. One of the most well-known is Route 66, the historic road stretching from Chicago to California. While famous for nostalgia and road trips, certain abandoned segments of Route 66 have produced stories of phantom hitchhikers and disappearing vehicles. Another location is Nevada's Highway 375, also known as the Extraterrestrial Highway. Running near Area 51, drivers have reported strange lights in the sky and unexplained signals interfering with radios and electronics. But the most unsettling reports often come from long, empty highways that cut through massive rural areas. Places where you can drive for 50 miles without seeing another car. And when something unusual happens out there, there are often no witnesses. One of the strangest patterns reported by drivers is something known as missing time. Here's how it usually happens. A driver leaves one town and begins a long stretch of highway. They glance at the clock. Everything feels normal. But when they reach the next town, the time suddenly doesn't make sense. A drive that should take 45 minutes somehow takes 2 hours. But the driver remembers no stops, no delays, and no traffic. Even stranger, their fuel usage and mileage suggest they never left the road. Some people dismiss this as simple distraction. But when similar reports happen repeatedly on the same highways, people start asking questions. Truck drivers, who often spend thousands of hours on the road every year, tell some of the most chilling stories. A common one involves what drivers call ghost cars. These vehicles appear suddenly in rear-view mirrors. They follow for several minutes, sometimes flashing headlights. Then they overtake the driver and vanish. No exit ramp, no side road, just empty highway. Some truckers have even reported seeing the same vehicle multiple times on the same stretch of road, as if it's looping. Skeptics argue these could be reflections, fatigue, or simple misperception. But professional drivers are trained observers. They spend their careers watching the road, which makes their stories harder to dismiss completely. Before jumping to supernatural explanations, scientists point to several real factors that could explain these encounters. One major factor is highway hypnosis. This is a psychological state where drivers remain awake but operate almost automatically. On long, repetitive roads, especially at night, the brain can enter a semi-dreamlike state. Drivers continue driving safely, but their perception of time and surroundings becomes distorted. Another explanation involves low-frequency sound waves, sometimes called infrasound. These vibrations can come from wind, engines, or natural terrain. Infrasound has been linked to feelings of unease, hallucinations, and distorted perception. Then there's magnetic interference. Certain remote areas contain unusual magnetic fields that can disrupt electronic devices like GPS systems and radios. Combine all these factors together: isolation, darkness, repetitive scenery, fatigue, electronic interference, and suddenly, strange experiences on highways don't seem quite as impossible. Even with scientific explanations, some reports remain difficult to explain. For example, there are cases where multiple drivers report the same strange event on the same night. There are also reports from law enforcement officers who are trained observers and less likely to misinterpret what they see. In a few rare cases, drivers have reported encountering people standing in the road who disappear moments later. No footprints, no nearby buildings, no explanation. And these stories appear in different states, on completely different highways, which leaves investigators with a simple but uncomfortable truth. Not every story has a clear answer. At first glance, mysterious highways might sound like nothing more than urban legends, but they reveal something deeper about how humans experience the world. Driving places us in a unique psychological state. We're moving quickly through unfamiliar environments, often alone. With very little external stimulation, our brains fill in the gaps. Sometimes that leads to simple mistakes, but sometimes it creates experiences that feel incredibly real. And when many people describe the same strange moment on the same road, the mystery becomes hard to ignore. America's highways connect cities, towns, and entire regions, but they also pass through some of the most isolated landscapes on Earth. Places where the mind can wander, where darkness stretches for miles, and where reality sometimes feels a little uncertain. Most unexplained encounters likely have ordinary explanations: fatigue, psychology, environmental effects. But the sheer number of similar stories from different drivers raises a fascinating possibility. Maybe these roads aren't haunted. Maybe they simply reveal how fragile human perception can be in the right conditions. So the next time you find yourself driving alone on a long, empty highway, pay attention. Because somewhere between the headlights and the darkness, you might start noticing things that don't quite make sense. If you enjoy uncovering mysterious stories hidden across America, subscribe to USA Uncovered and tell us in the comments. Have you ever experienced something strange while driving at night? Because the next unexplained story might start with you.